Mick, I may have to leave. I've got some folks here installing a security system today, so.
No problem. I know Amy said she was going to try to make it. I figured either you or Amy would talk to us about the Great Plains Bone Tournament, but
Hold on, how do I mute it?
so
We'll do it later.
we'll
Go
hear
ahead.
more on that later then. So for those of us,
I muted it.
Okay.
okay. Oh, he's back. So let's see if he gets back. See if he'll see that he's muted. Hey, John, you're muted. If you wanted to talk to us about the good weekend you had.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Yeah, just real quick. Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this past weekend, the Heartland region and the Nebraska programs hosted a Great Plains Bonefish Invitational Fly Fishing Tournament, the Charles Baswell Tournament, out at Lake Ogallala, Lake McConaughey in Ogallala, Nebraska. We had 8 participants from the region, 2 from Omaha, 2 from Lincoln, 2 from Wichita, 1 from Topeka, 2 from Leavenworth, and we actually had Bob Dawes come in from Denver. So we had Rocky Mountain South as well as Heartland region represented this year.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah, we had a ball. I'll tell you, Amy was there and with Steve, and she caught a fish, and I didn't see her catch it, but when she came back and she stopped and chatted with me, I have never seen Amy as animated as she was. She was happy and smiling, and it was just a constant talk. She was really happy. It did my heart good to see her get away and just go fishing for a weekend with everybody. We had a ball.
Good.
It looks like Mike Swanson, Mike Swanson was impressed with the tournament, and he told me that it's a go for now on. So we will be looking at running it again next year, 18, 19, and 20 August, same weekend. We don't know yet if we're going to be able to increase the number of people that we have. We'd like to increase it and bring in more from the Heartland and increase it to more folks out of the Heartland region or out of Rocky Mountain South region. So
Cool.
keep an eye posted about February, in the February 1st of March. I'm going to be sending out an invite to all the program leads and APLs about the tournament. So
Good, because I know Scott was asking yesterday. He
Yeah.
brought it up. He was like, "Hey, can we do that next year?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." I had
Absolutely.
customers in early last week and through this week, so there was no way I could miss. But
Yeah.
Scott was like, "Hey, can we do that drive next year?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So we'll be there.
Yeah. Al, you have to put it on your schedule. You'd come on down and fish with us because Amy said she's going to come out next year too.
So it looks like it's a good
What was
hit.
the dates again?
18, 19, and 20 of August.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Les. Haven't seen you in a while. Still just seeing your name, but glad you were able to join. I know what is the trout? Terry, help me out. What's the one coming up? Trout Fest or
Oh, Trout Bust?
Trout Busters? Yeah, coming up. So hopefully I'm going to come out there for a day and see you guys. So it's
Yeah,
just been
fun
busy
time.
on my side. So for us, again, like I said, the next event that we will have will be Montauk. That's Fish Free, which is the 10th of September. I won't be able to make it, but then I still want to come up with a Saturday or Sunday, more likely a Sunday, so Scott could join in, where we'll do something kind of local, and I'll try to see if I could find a place where we could fish and tie. Because it's a little bit hard to make the Monday nights at the VFW with rush hour traffic and everyone coming in from all the corners of Missouri. So we'll figure something out, but we'll always do this Monday night tie. Someone coming back in. So we'll always have a good time and picking up dates. One of the things that I know we wanted to talk about soon is, I think we're going to push it into November, which would put us into catch and release at Bennett. So I think we're going to do an overnight coming up in November. The first 2 weeks we can't do it because they kind of have where they kind of have it a no fishing cool down at Bennett. And then I think it's the second Friday in November starts the catch and release. So look for info soon. I'm pretty much going to make this easy planning where let us know if you want to come, and we're going to pretty much say, here's a list of places that you could go and stay. And by that way, you could get your own lodging depending on where you want to stay, how long. And then we'll just have a rendezvous spot where we'll meet up to go fishing. So that's in the
Yeah,
plans.
but they'll be on their own to pay for their own lodging.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, I will try to do something. I have something in the books for the participants that, I'm hoping to get the program to pay for that. And then I will also see if anyone wants to be their mentor for the week to see if I could pull off to get them paid as well. So we'll see, but more info to come, but we're looking the 3rd or 4th weekend in November for that, probably the 3rd.
I was looking at this video and Lee Wadling looked an awful lot like Roger when he popped up.
Yeah. I saw Roger and not sure what happened.
He may be at, he said he was going to do a setup of his over at Scott Air Force Base. Maybe that's what's going on.
Okay.
Maybe he's outside.
All right. All right. So we could talk more a little bit, but then I also said I would tie up a hopper pattern, and let me just change my video over to what I was doing. Hopefully you guys could see that.
Before you get too involved, I want to tell everybody that although Sunday morning may not be a good day for everybody with church and family and stuff like that, this worked out really good for the people who went, and it was a fun time. And I hope that people can make an effort to get there. If we have to, we'll hold church service at the river next time to get those people there.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good time. Fishing was a little slow, but company was good. So as we kind of discussed, we were going to do a hopper pattern, and I was going to try to do something with more natural material, but I just didn't have the time over the weekend to practice. So I started looking online and YouTube and found this. Hopefully you guys could see it, but it's actually, they called it a mop hopper. So it's.
Is that your new camera?
Yeah, this is new camera. Is it good?
That's working great.
Okay. So it's a mop hopper. So it uses the mop fly material. And at first I was hesitant. I'm like, this thing's gonna like get waterlogged. But even when I try out the new mop flies, they don't want to sink. So they did say once you're done creating your fly, put floating on it, and then the thing will never sink. And I could see if you put floating on it, this will stay up the whole time. And so it was kind of a neat pattern, different. So I decided to try to go with this one. So I'll go through the steps on it. It looks kind of big. It'd have to be for a big bluegill or maybe a smaller bass, but still kind of fun tie. So I'll go through that real quick. The hook I was using was a size 10. I don't know if you can see that. It's more for a streamer, but all I had was these streamer hooks, so not a dry fly. So these will be fine, but I'm using a size 10. Uh,
I don't know how to do that.
Pull up the email.
I'm gonna mute
I've only
somebody,
got Gmail.
trying to think of,
It's not on my Gmail. It's not in my Gmail.
Send it to you.
if you're not participating, if you could just maybe mute yourself. Trying to see, I'll mute all and then undo me. Okay. I muted everyone. You guys should still be able to hear me. So if you need to chat, just unmute yourself. And that way we could all kind of hear. So I put the streamer hook in and I'm using, let me see real quick. It's just a chartreuse thread to kind of match the hopper. It is the UTC chartreuse 140. Put that back on. So that kind of matches the rest of the whole pattern. Oh, I'm missing a part of my bobbin by taking that off. Nope, there it is, sorry. So it works out pretty good. It's a fun little fly. I've done a couple of them. So I will put a thread base down. Tag piece. I'm just trying to get a good base down because I will be using a little bit of kind of doing a little polymer wrap just to make it a little bit bumpy. So I am going to use a little bit of super glue to lock in the mop fly. I think that'll be good. Mop flies, as most of you seen, it's just mop material that some people look down on, but they do pretty fun. And for little flies like this, it's fun. You just got to take one of these little fingers and cut off at the base. And then I just try to measure it a little bit, what I want to do, make sure that's will be good enough. I'm kind of going just a little past the tail, but now I will use a little bit of Loctite super glue. I just put a little bit on it to kind of keep it from trying to spin on me. So I'll get a couple wraps down here, down towards the front. There we go. So that starts that much. Now, the cool thing next, I'm going to use the foam. Using different colors really makes this kind of stand out. I'm going with the green. It's just 2 millimeter foam that you can get from Walmart or any of the hobby stores. You just want to cut a little piece off square like this, but we're going to do a little bit more trim on this one. And I'm going to try to make it almost look like a home plate. So a home plate material, and I just want to size this out. See if that looks good. I'll call that looks good. You know, we still could see the hopper material body out there. And now I'm going to go back to the glue and I'm just going to put it, I'll show you after I put a little dab on towards the front. Hopefully you could see where I put just a little bit of glue towards the front. And just hold that together and compress that in. Just pinch it to get it to lock in. I'm gonna start a wrap right there to kind of give it a head. So that holds it in place a little bit. So with the super glue, we'll hold it in place. If you want right now, which I will probably do, is this is a good time where everything's free open. I'm gonna put in a couple, use a little Sharpie to make a couple little eyes, as you can see there. There we go. It's a little bit easier to do it now before we start building up materials. I'll do one quick wrap towards the middle. Start the second body segment right there. Just lock that in. So that's where we're at now. So you can see the 3 different segments of the grasshopper. I'm going to use some green dubbing now just to kind of add to it. You only need a little bit on this portion. Make a little dubbing noodle. This will actually kind of help with the legs a little bit too. So we've got a little bit, as you can see, there's a little bit of dubbing there. So now the next part are the legs. You're going to want 2 different types of silly legs, 2 different colors, so they kind of contrast each other. I'm going to use more chartreuse, but I'm going to use yellow as well. And for the main part of the leg, you actually want where this kind of comes in as a ribbon, because you want to keep 2 of the strands together to make the hind leg a little bit longer. So I'm going to use my bodkin and take off where I got a 2-leg strand, if you could see that. And so now I got 1 strand of that. And I'm going to take a strand of this single different color. Now I'm going to try to move my vise out of the way a little bit so you can see the way they showed me how to do the legs. So with the loop, or with the 2 segment, you're going to want to do a little loop like I'm showing here. Trying to look at the camera. You will take your single piece and lay it over on top. Pinch it a little bit, hold it in place. You're going to go behind it. And down through the loop again. What you're trying to do is hopefully see, try to make the segment. You pull the 2 smaller pieces together. No, I don't like the way that looks. I'm going to try that over. Because what you're looking for is to make a 90-degree bend on this. So it's like the hind legs, you have that bend. It's a little tricky. We'll give it a second try. Better get this right because I still have a left and right to do. So there it kind of, you can see it kind of almost does a square knot. And you just pull the 2 single sides. If you see, oh, it popped out again. Sorry, folks. This always happens when you're on camera. Let's go 3rd time a charm, I hope. See if that holds, but as you can see, I have a 90-degree angle there. So that will be one of the side of the legs. Hopefully this second time around goes easier. There's a second one. Just gonna trim some of the extra off. So what you will have after this is you can see there's 2 segments there, and then I'm just gonna kind of cut that in half, and that's gonna be our hind legs. Trim up the back end just a little bit, make it easy. All right. Now I will bring the fly back in. All right. So now I'm going to try to position these at a 45. Just kind of lock those in. Right now adjust it a little bit. Oh, I lost a section of my leg. We're just going to continue on though. Try to match this up. More wraps. Wow, I've lost both legs now. Sorry, folks. I will now wrap again forward, but now I'm going to lock these in. I will try to correct those after we're done. I will lock those up forward there. Just going to trim a little bit off those. All right. Now I'm going to take my silly legs, the smaller ones again. I'm going to take another strand from that. And I'm going to make a loop. We'll try to do this on the opposite side so you guys can see it. Where I'll do 2 light wraps. Pull the one side over. Get that there. So there are the forward legs. I will wrap those in a little bit better. Cut that. Trim them the size. Okay, so I got the legs. I'm going to try to fix these hind legs soon. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is the wing. And as some of you know, one of my favorite stuff to use is the Bonnie cord. This is just polypropylene yarn. You could buy it in the fly shops, but if you buy the Bonnie cord online from Amazon or Michaels, you'll get it a lot cheaper. So all I'm going to do is take a small strand of it from cutting off a little section. Now I'm going to just loop it and bring it on top. It will try to stand up, but the next thing, if you have some orange or any yellow, I'm going to put cut a little section out of it, or you could use a hole punch where this will be your indicator, basically a little thing to see, and it's going to help keep these wings down. Position that a little bit better. We'll now cinch that in. Neat thing that they did too, I'm going to use my UV glue, where at this point, I'll put just a few drops on that bright spot as an indicator for you to watch. I'm going to do a couple more wraps that will get in there. And I'm going to use my black light, lock that in. That cures the glue right away. And then what you could do then is cut your thread, and now you don't even have to use a whip finisher. I have my popsicle stick with some Velcro. I'm just going to kind of fluff up the wings.
Hey Mick, what's the benefit of that, using the UV glue as opposed to tying it?
You could whip finish it. This makes it a whole lot easier if you don't have UV glue, because yes, it is kind of expensive. You can whip it, and I could even still demonstrate that now. This was just a easy thing, a different way of doing it. But let me just add more thread back on. You could still whip finish from here if you wanted. I thought this was just a really neat idea on how the person demonstrated that. Oop, I'm losing it. See if I could get that to lock on. There we go. If you wanted to whip finish, you could still do it. I just thought that was a neat little trick where
Yeah.
right there, I mean, you could still whip finish between the legs
Mm-hmm.
and the head, and then do a whip finish that way. So it's either way.
Okay.
It was just a really neat demo that he had, and I do apologize for those hind legs. It's funny when you're on line, things don't want to work, but this is what it should have been. You're looking for that 90-degree angle where they hang on, and it's a neat little tie. Only takes a few minutes. Wanted to try something different, and so with the mop fly, I thought, why not try something different? I've never seen it. I thought I'd give it a try. It was fun. It looks like I had a little bit of something going on under the camera, but I think that would still fish too. So any questions on that?
I think with those legs, the ones that you lost,
Yeah,
you could, if you left the rear legs a little bit longer, you just could have tied a knot in them maybe, and then turn those down.
what I'm having issues with is the camera looks good right now, but what you can't see, the lighting looks good on camera, but for me, it feels like I'm tying in the dark. If I have
Oh,
the
wow.
light on, it washes out real bad, and then
Oh,
I
yeah.
can see. So I'm still working on the lighting issue with this camera, but right now it looks good. But when I'm tying, it's kind of dark. So I'm still
What
working
camera
that
are you
night.
using, Mick? Mick, what camera are you using?
I am using let me push this stream webcam, and you could get it on where's it, Amazon, and I think I only
Right.
paid $35 for this. So for $35, I mean, it gets pretty well on, spot on with it. It looks really good. I'm trying to figure out the lighting issue right now. If I could get that, this is a really easy way for those who want to try to tie online and join in with us to tie at $35. I was a fly tying event at Bennett with the Mayfly project, and they had a very nice Sony Handycam that was super nice, and I liked it a lot, but it is in $250 range. So between $250 and $35, this is a good deal. I just have to work on the lighting issue a little bit. But other than that, you know, this is a fun little camera for $35.
Have you have you tried using a diffuser for your light?
That's what I'm gonna try next, is try to block off some of the light. Or I don't even wonder if I could put something on the lens itself that would be almost like, you know, sunglasses for a camera. I'm not the best when it comes to camera, where I could still have the light, but it's not going to allow so much in, because I can't see it. Wish it was a little bit brighter to tie.
Mick, just a tip, if you change your background from black to something more in the medium gray area, your camera won't blow everything out for you.
Okay, so let me try. I will try that. Get rid of my pen.
Medium gray, medium blue.
Medium gray, medium blue. Write that down.
You got any foam you could try it right now?
Might. I don't know if green would do it. But that's still kind of, that bright light washes it. So I'll have to mess with it, but I don't want to hold up our meeting on going over that. But yes, I will be working on I'll figure this out for sure. So anyone else tying along with us? I see Carl and Dave, maybe.
Carl was.
Let me see what Carl's got for us. All right, Carl, I got you pinned.
I didn't unmute there. Well, I was playing around with Dave's hopper on more of a traditional matter.
That's the one I wanted to tie. I didn't have enough time to practice, so I really want to see it.
It does take practice. I was reading I had to go back and read John Girox's book a little bit on that, because he talks about on good flies and why they're made that way, and makes a comment on there. They're really nice flies. They're a little tedious for me, he says, and so I buy them, he said. On occasion, on a good day, I'll go after and do it, or something like that. So I see what he means by it, because it is a tedious fly. I mean, it's got a lot of materials on it, probably 7 materials on it. Let me get my fly back up here. I was just trimming it up here a little bit. Needs a little more trimming, and I'm not the best deer hair stacker by any stretch of the imagination. So it is kind of a fun fly to tie, to try to do it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. And get my other glasses on so I can see if I can see. Well, I guess it'd help if I put the camera down on there. Let's see. That's a little bit of what it is right there.
That's what I was planning on trying to tie up, but I just didn't have the time this weekend to practice it out. But I thought that was really cool, where there's, you know, stacking deer hair and spinning deer hair for, near the head. I thought
Yeah,
that was really neat.
I mean, I went to Hardgroves last week because I was like, well, we're gonna do hoppers, so I didn't have any really good yellow to use. Tom said they used to use, this is just an Antron yellow,
Yep.
and Tom said we don't, that we used to use wool, he said, back in the day. So anyway, some of the stuff that I watched online about tying this particular pattern, there were some comments are, well, don't worry about your first one, just kind of get through it. So I'm trying to get it to focus on the fly, not on me.
We're gonna need to chip in and get Carl one of those cameras.
Yeah, for sure, because his flies are nice, so we need to
Yeah.
see those.
Carl, that looks awful good. I wouldn't be apologizing for it.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's it'll fish. I tried some out on the lake the other day just to see how they floated, but yeah, it's a fun tie. It's a fun tie. I'm at a point where I like to do some challenging stuff now. And so I always keep getting deeper and deeper in these holes now.
What are the wings?
This is the back wing's a turkey wing.
Okay,
And the red tail is, I don't know why the red tail's on there. Maybe it's a buoyancy thing, an attractor thing. I don't know. I've never seen a grasshopper with a red tail. But Dave's hopper is this is a very, very popular fly. It's the pattern that he's used for years. And it's kind of what made him famous, I think. But you get a name, you can name it Dave's Hopper and everybody knows it's about Dave Whitlock. I guess you're pretty lucky guy, I suppose. So there it is.
Very nice. Yeah, I really wanted, that's what I'll be trying soon. I thought that was really neat.
The trick on these legs, though, it's a trick. I mean, I was using some pheasant tail, and I used to have some of my mom's old crochet hooks, but I think my daughter got them. And so I was trying to find a way to make the legs. So I was using this electrical clip that I've had for years. Some people use for, to wrapping their feathers around. And so it took me about an hour to figure these little suckers out. I finally figured out a way to do it with what I had, just kind of learn to use with what you got kind of thing. But one trick I would tell you, if you tie some of these, just tie some of these and go away for a while and then come back and do it. And then also tie several as a pointer and put them in something like this, because if you're like me and you put them down here on the bottom of your base of your fly, you're going to drop something, and the next thing you know, you don't know where your leg went. So, but it's the yellow. It's a red bucktail, yellow Antron yarn. The feather I used, it's off of a grade 2 Mets, and so I know they're a little less expensive, but you can get that furnace pattern and on some of these. So this one wasn't a bad. I mean, I was really happy with this buy. It's got some bigger feathers on here. Maybe I'll be a saltwater fisherman or something. I can use them for that. I don't know, but that, and then I used for the back wing, I used an olive deer hair just to kind of give it a little bit more texture back here. And But on the feather, when you're wrapping the hackle, you wrap it forward, and then some people trim them. You know, some people don't, but that's how you get that kind of that ribbing under there. You wrap that around, and then the you know, I just did it with a different color. Some people done it with the same color. I thought it looked pretty cool like that. John Jirac says he found the best way to do that so you don't have to trim it was to lay it down on a piece of cardboard and take a razor blade and slice it down and make it thinner. But maybe that works. It doesn't. I kind of attempted to try it one day and I said, oh, screw it. I'm just going to trim it off with some scissors. And that's what the guy on YouTube did. So that's what I did. And then I just used a yellow thread, and it's on a size 10 hook. So, but I don't know. The first one I did, I think took me an hour. And so the more I've done them, I've gotten a little more efficient with it. Trying to decide when I tie the legs in, if I tie the legs in first or the wing in. Haven't decided what I like best on that. I've seen that done both ways. So that's what I know.
It looks very cool.
I like it.
It's fun. It's a fun fly. Takes a little time, but it's enjoyable.
Was anyone else tying? I know I kind of went a little bit quick.
You know, we only got about 15 minutes or 20, or I guess 19
20.
minutes.
Well, Amy's on. I kind of, while I was tying, I forgot to look at the participants, so I left her off, but she's on. Do you want to talk a little bit about carp fishing?
Well, sure. So John is also on here, and he was anyway. I think if I look back at,
Yeah, he was on for a little bit, but figured he was talking about that you had a good time and you were very animated when you had caught your fish.
well, so I had the opportunity. I went up on Thursday and got to take part in the Charles Baswell Great Plains Bonefish Invitational in Nebraska. And the only thing I would say is that if you haven't ever done this, it was something else. So we're used to trout and we're used to bluegill and bass and stuff. And it was a completely different experience. And I had a great guide while we were up there, and you seriously are stalking. So that was a lot of fun. The fish were 24, 28 inches long.
Wow.
So big old horse. I mean, they're big. You have to basically hit them in the nose or drop it right in front of them. So it was a completely different technique on that side of it. And we had 10 participants up there, 10 guides up there. And it was just, it was really, it was something. And we fished in Lake McConaughey and Lake Ogallala. Both, so you have a reserve, and then you go over to the other one, and then you have tailwaters off of that. But it was, I learned a lot. I had four carp to hand, and then one catfish. So there you go on that. And it was funny for all the flies that we tie, and I think a lot of people refer to them kind of as a ham and egg one, but it's like an egg pattern out of the flash, and then it has a little bit of chenille off the top, coming back out in a bead. And that was the winner for me. My guide was fishing with an egg pattern, and it's all about placement, but you've got to be extremely quiet. So it was fun. It was great. Well done. A lot of fun to see folks, and everybody comes in on that normal, kind of like, hi, where you from? Just the whole reserve thing that we do. And then by Sunday morning at breakfast, just to hear people laughing, see the high fives, pictures being passed around. John's already got a great a slideshow and things started from that. That's what we are. That's what we do. And it was great. It was a great recharge for me. I've been running hard. Was in Washington, D.C. on Monday, was in La Plata, Maryland on Tuesday, got home Wednesday, left Thursday morning at the crack of dawn. So it was fun. It was fun just to go up there and be a volunteer. And, you know, they were short staffed like a lot of places. And so, you know, when you can bring out your food busing, table busing skills, you know, that's all good too. So we were just helping out, but it was really fun to see everybody. Had 6 different programs were represented. And that was pretty cool also from that side. So it was fun. I've got some pictures. I sent those over to you, Mick.
Yeah.
Just big smiles, hot. We were actually on sand, which you think of Nebraska and you go, what?
Yeah.
But again, those reservoirs, and when you would have thought I was in the Caribbean or something, because they empty out these pots. You know, the water's receding for what they have to feed out to the Platte rivers. And yeah, it was just, we were walking on beach, and it
Wow.
was turquoise blue water, and they're landlocked on some of it. And then in the afternoon, we fished the downside on Ogallala. But pretty darn it was just fun. Just highly recommend, pay attention to it, because it's here to stay. So it was a cool time in that.
Yeah.
Different wading experience. You know, waders are hot in August in Nebraska. So just tennis shoes or your grass cutting shoes, and it was sand bottom, a little bit of mud, but you can work your way around. You are going through cattails. You're stalking the fish, and then just to see their different behaviors. So Larry Dossel, and he's a volunteer in the Omaha program. He did a great presentation on Friday night, just about how they sense different things. And it was just really, so we might have him on as a guest if you want. But he talks about the whole thing, just as far as the different, I think they're, I don't know, a chromosome or 3 off of a carp. Off of a bonefish. That's why it's called the Great Plains bonefish. And again, these things are huge. And it took me to the backing every single time I landed one.
Wow.
And yeah, and they're just, and I was on a 5 weight. I had a 6 and an 8 weight with me, but chose the 5 weight just because it's more manageable for me. And every single time they run, and I'm telling you, you just kind of go, where to go. And you're just holding as much tension as you can. But it's kind of one of those where you're leaning, and I didn't have a fighting butt, of course, on my 5 weight, but you're leaning it into your side and just trying to brace your elbow to hold these things. They're beasts on that. And they are not happy that they got caught. So on that, that's all I had. But I wish John was still on, because he
talked a little bit about it, but the cool thing between you and John, we were at Huzzah Belly yesterday. And so Scott was asking, he's like, can we try that next year? And I was like, I wanted to do it this year, but I had Air Force was in town, and through this week, I'm like, I just couldn't make a break for it. And so he's like, we got to do this next year. So I know St. Louis will be showing up for sure next year. I actually do have a couple new guys just hired on with Boeing, so it's going to free up my time a lot. So Scott and I are going, and whoever wants to jump in the van, let us know. We'll be heading out there in a year. So
yeah, it was really, and again, you all the guides donated their time. And so it really is something where it gives you a chance. Everybody works kind of one-on-one with their guide. And there were some folks who really didn't have. One gentleman said it was the first time he'd ever waded. So you really do get kind of a whole mix on that. Right now, again, the only thing the Heartland's looking at is, you know, how do you make this bigger, and who's paying for what, right? Of course, because that's where it all comes down to. But it was impressive, and for anybody who's been on that other side. So Charles Baswell passed away this spring, and he was the program lead in Omaha, and probably the longest volunteer relationship that I had in Project Healing Waters, because of the different turnovers and different program, just what we see. And every time I talked to Charles, and he always called me dear. He just everything. Amy, dear, I need anyway, every time, just most pleasant. He passed away this spring. And it was a tough call, whether or not this was happening, not happening, how to remake this. So it was renamed the Charles Baswell Memorial Great Plains Bonefish Invitational. So it's a whole lot of letters in
Words,
between.
yeah.
But when you see this, and it is at Lake Ogallala, so practice up on that. And the other thing is just again, I cannot tell you how much John had every single detail covered. It was absolutely from start to finish flawless. He'd be blushing right now, but it was from the time you arrive all the way through when I left yesterday morning at 8 a.m. I will tell you that 10.5 hour drive will kick your butt though.
Yeah, that's, I heard it
yeah.
was a long one, so.
Not for some, for others. St. Louis is the furthest
Yeah.
from that, but it is something where again, there's conversation. It's great highway, getting up there, and everything was taken care of. Every detail was taken care of. So you just show up, and it was pretty cool to see it. It's the first time it was on hiatus, obviously,
Yeah.
since 2019, but it's gonna get bigger. So pretty cool. Look forward to seeing more folks out there next year. I
Yeah.
won't miss it again.
Cool. That sounds like it's good, because when we talked earlier about it, you were like, carp, but now to see that you're all gung ho about it, it's like, all right, this is an experience I think we all want to try now. So
I was more apprehensive about Nebraska in August, right? All of
Yeah.
us that have that thought, right? Hot,
Mhm.
everything, but you're on the water all day, and it really wasn't. It wasn't any worse than anything. It's actually less humid than it is in St. Louis.
it was
So it was good on that. But my apprehension was hot,
hot.
hot, and it still is. There's no doubt it's still August, but that is one of the higher hunt times. The fact is, when we smallmouth and even for trout, all the other things too, we're used to that big hit on. This is purely sight fishing, which is completely different. You see the carp come up, or you're dropping it in front of them. If they turn their head towards your fly, you set. And so it's a completely different thing than what we're used to. If nothing else, just for, one more quiver, right? It's just
Yeah.
one more thing in there. And it's a completely different chub. I saw your pictures too. That's actually a species of the carp family.
Yeah.
And so, and we've got a lot of carp around here in all those golf course ponds. There's a whole lot of carp that you
Okay,
can
we're
go
gonna
after.
have to
So,
find those, get practice on them.
well, and that bow shot is a real thing, by the way, that bow cast. So,
Oh, yeah, where you pull back and,
oh yeah. So it was fun. It was challenging. I think that pace and being that quiet, yeah, that part took me a little bit. You actually can't have a conversation as you're walking up. You are seriously just creeping. And a couple guys there, we have some great pictures. They're up and they're on their knees, trying to get these guys, because but they have this whole, it sounds like crinkling paper, when all the carp are up and they're eating on top. And again, John can say all the terms better. And then you have another one where their noses are down, and it's called tailing. And so it depends on what you're looking for. Whether or not they're tailing, then you drop in front of them and you let them suck it up off the bottom. They're like vacuum cleaners, right? So it's a completely different technique. But I have no regrets of going. Yeah, I wouldn't fish like that every day, but it was fun to learn everything that I learned from Friday all the way through. It was just I was just a sponge. Just show me more. Let's do more.
Amy,
Yes.
what did you use for flies?
It was seriously size 10 hook, and it had pink chenille tied off the back. So like we would do a San Juan worm, and then it had flash around it and a bead head. We look at all these different flies that we tie. And I looked at this and I'm like, are you serious? It was what I caught every fish on, which was kind of hysterical. But it's, I don't know. They had a different name for it. We often look at it like a ham and eggs, right? It has the pink and then it had the white chenille kind of it was the flash, but it's not long flash. It's that really the short. and then a pink head. So it was kind of it's what in our area what I would refer to as a ham and eggs.
Got you. Very cool.
So,
now
but they
I'm-
were taking hoppers, and so what you were tying tonight and what I've seen so far, totally appropriate. You just have to catch them when they're all up on top, and they feed off of just about everything.
Yeah,
But they will take mulberries, and I
Yeah.
mean we had a whole array of different things. Later in the day, they start tailing, so they're definitely nose down, and then
Yeah.
you're just trying to drop in front of them, and then hopefully they hoover it on up. But the minute they turn, you have to set.
Gotcha.
And then they just run like heck.
That'd be kind of
they
neat
have
to
teeth?
see.
No, they don't have teeth. They're very, I mean, they're kind of, I mean, they're like sucker fish that we have in our area. So they look very much like a sucker. I mean, they downturned mouth, and they don't have teeth. They don't have, they have beautiful fan. It looks so Asian because it has every scale looks like an absolute fan, like detailed, like with gold in the dark brown. And you look at them and you're just going, oh my gosh. And there's so many different variations of them, but I only had the gold ones. And they're just, their scales are probably the size of a dime, if not larger.
Wow.
Yep. And they're just covered with them. But it was fun. And again, I wouldn't want to do it every day, but it was, I can see the appeal on that. Now the guides we had, that's all they fish for now. So I guess there's something on that too.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, no, I think several of us are looking forward to doing that. It's different, like you said, another quiver, in your bow in the quiver. So yeah, something absolutely I want to try to do. It sounds really neat. I've heard about the mulberry. It's just a weird to think that you could tie a fly that's actually like a fruit or something, and you're going to catch something. So I think something
And
neat to try.
they go after anything, and that was the amazing part too. I mean, you can use your crawdad patterns, you can use a lot, and we had some folks who moved over to the south side of the reservoir, and they were fishing with crawdad patterns. So it really you can throw anything. It's about your accuracy, and it's about your presentation. That's where it all comes back in. It can't be just like, oh, I'm just going to cast out to a body of water. You're
Yeah.
actually targeting and trying to hit. So your accuracy has to be on, because
What
otherwise
what was the average length of your cast?
anywhere from 20 to 40 feet. It wasn't very far. And as it got warmer, they actually move into more shallow water too. You didn't have to power it out there, Terry. I mean, we saw some early in the morning where it would have been a big long, and instead you just move yourself to it. But they have a different gland to them, and they can actually pick up every single vibration. So as you walk, even in water, you walk, you stop, or you take a step, you stop. You take a step, you stop. You let everything continue to settle and let them get settled. But you have to move almost at this just snail's pace. But the casts weren't long. You can actually do 10, 15 foot at the most.
Oh, wow.
So it was not something where you were trying to launch it and go out like, big saltwater stuff. And I was quite happy. I'm glad, I pulled out a couple different weight rods. I was fine on a 5 weight. You just have to be patient. You can't yank on it. You set the same way. The other thing for trout comparison, so you know how we strip it off and you just keep all your line in your hand, kind of getting ready for a fish to run? Not on this. You put it on your reel, and if that trout or if that carp starts to run, you just flip on your reel and let it run, and you're just holding tension at that point. But you don't, you're not trying to hold a lasso in your hand while you're trying to land one of these. You put everything back on the reel, and then you let everything come off the reel. But you use your reel completely different than
Oh,
you do
wow.
in trout.
Okay.
And I mean, the minute they start running, you just click it, you just hit down and it'll start spinning, and then just tension, just straight up tension on them. But you play every fish for probably 20 minutes.
Oh, really? That's kind of neat.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I have like muscles now that you would not believe because I didn't know I had them.
Wow.
Yeah, no, my hand when I got done with one of the first ones, I was just you actually just want to go put your hands in an ice bucket for a second because they're all like white knuckled. But again, it was a blast. We laughed the entire time. Had some great just great remarkable stories. And you'd think even with 10 and 10 that you'd be running into each other. They have 17 miles of shorefront
Oh, wow.
through the two different properties. You're not seeing other people. Now you all start hunting the same areas, but it's a matter of who can stay longer. But it's not, you didn't feel like you were tripping on people at all. It was not crowded. There are not a lot of other anglers out at all, but you see a lot of other water sports because they are reservoirs, right? So they're not nearly like the size of Lake of the Ozarks, but you will see paddle boards, you'll see kayakers, you see boats and stuff, but the carp don't like that at all. They start moving in. So kind of back to Terry's question is you're not casting far because they don't like all that traffic in the middle of the lake. So it kind of pushes them over. They like weedy areas, cattails and stuff. But I will tell you, because I'm not a fan of snakes, I didn't see one the entire time I was out there. So that was good.
Is that a morning event, afternoon event, evening?
All day long. We started at 7:30 in the morning and we stopped at 4:30. And again, it was tournament on scores. So it was length. And then at the end, you total up all the lengths of yours. John had it where everybody had a notepad and kept track of their lengths and what species, because there's a lot of different carp style species on that, where you caught it, what time you caught it. And then you turn in your notebook at the end of the day and then they total it up and then they just announce the winners. And so it was something where it just lasted all day. And actually the hotter it gets or the busier the lakes get, the fish start moving back towards the banks, which is great.
Yeah.
So you don't have to. And again, I was on sand up until lunch. I mean, like sand, like beach sand. And so that was kind of cool on the outside because you look at the pictures and it looks like I'm in the tropics.
Wow.
And then we went over to the other side, which is a little bit more.
Do they have the palm trees in the background and all that?
I'm going to Photoshop those in my pictures.
The pineapple drinks and everything. So.
Yep, we were doing that, and we ate
Fruit
well.
Drinks with umbrellas.
Yeah, and we were doing all that iced tea and water.
Hey,
Lots
Mick,
of water.
Sir.
Mick, tell them about that rod that I cast at Whatchamadoodle because I have a lot of different rods and I really like that rod. And for some of the people, most people haven't had a chance to go ahead and tell them.
All right. So most of us know when you start fly fishing, you start with that 5-weight, 9-foot rod. But when we're starting to go for the smaller panfish and all that, and it's even fun, I had Bennett to drop down to like a 3-weight. So it's kind of the equivalent of like an ultralight if you were spin fishing. So I was looking for a rod that would just be cheap that I could keep in the truck. And, I wasn't looking for anything but cheap. So I found the rod. It was Maxi or Max Catch, or I'll have to look again. I forgot what it is.
Yeah, Maxi Catch.
Maxi Catch. The last time I looked yesterday, I think the rod was still only going for $40.
Yeah.
The 3-weight. And then I got a Pisky Fun reel, which I think was
around the same.
About the same. So now we're up to $80. And then I put better line on it, which I think the line was about 40, but you could find cheaper as well. But you could actually have a 3-weight combo for under $100.
Now, I want to say, I think that I liked the rod and the reel, but I really do think that the line made that rod.
Yeah, and that was by Sunray, and it's a company in the UK.
In the United Kingdom.
Yeah,
but I just bought some. I don't know if I looked online on Amazon. I Googled Sunray floating line.
Yep.
And then it came up Amazon United Kingdom, and I was able to purchase it on my account there, and then I expedited shipping, and so I got it. I'm getting it Friday.
Yeah, it's a great line. It's weighted, forward to the point where it's almost like a spay line. So even though it's a 3-weight, you think you might not get the distance on it, but roll casting at Bennett, I could easily get 30, 40 feet with a 3-weight roll casting, which I don't need to go that far at Bennett or anywhere I've been, but it roll casts with ease, and catching a trout on a 3-weight is fun. It's
Well, the novices that we talk to, they're looking for bargains getting into fly fishing, and wow, have that nice of a rod for that low a price, was something we need to tell the newbies that come in.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, because when I do send out next week, or the email, our weekly email, we'll have to figure out what we're going to tie next week, but I will actually put some of that info on there as well. It's something that I just bought on a whim, but it's actually been my favorite rod. It's that goes with me everywhere, and I will take the 5-weight, but I really do like that 3-weight. So, well, it looks like we're past 7, so I don't want to hold everyone on too much longer. Anyone have any requests for flies next week? Something that you used or you saw someone use, and you'd like.
What about crawdads?
Crawdads? Ooh, you got a nice popper right there, but yeah, let's do
Yeah,
crawdads.
that looks great, Dave.
But we did do
Thanks.
poppers last week.
Yeah, I'm using this, they call it craft fur from Hobby Lobby. It was $4 for all that, and makes a great tail.
Very cool. So we'll do crawdads. I'll have to look up a couple patterns, but feel free to tie with me, because I usually get done pretty quick, and then I'm stuck staring. Everyone's looking at me, what's next? So if you want to join, please do. So we'll do crawdads. So look for the email, and I'll up-to-date everyone on fishing events coming up, and I'll get some info on that rod as well. So any last go backs before we let everyone go back to have their evening?
Well, thank you and Margie for putting that on yesterday. That was very nice.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was real good.
No, I just saw the thing from Amy. We're kind of backing away from the VFW. It was kind of hard to get there on Mondays with traffic and all that. So plan is we're going to stick with the Mondays, the weekday, which is going to be Monday on Zoom. We're going to have a true fish event on a weekend, and then we're trying to find a place where we could meet on the weekend where we could do a little bit of fishing and tying, and then we won't have to fight so much traffic. It was nice try with the VFW, but a couple people were just saying that was just a little hard to get to. So we're thinking maybe Bush Wildlife. I know they have a classroom out there. We could kind of tie for a bit and then hit one of the lakes, or find something similar, but that way we're not trying to fight traffic so much. So there'll be 2 events kind of during a month, a true fishing event, and then, like I said, the one where we'll get together for a little bit. You don't have to use it the whole day. You could just an hour, a couple hours, as long as you want to stay. So that's the plan for right now. We're still waiting for JB to open, but when I do talk to John on that, it sounds like we're still far off from that. So eventually we'll get back to home, but in the meantime, we'll still go out, have a good time fishing, and do stuff like we did yesterday. It was a good time. So any other questions?
Hey, Scott, did you use that rod?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I thought you did.
I did get, I picked up some more materials, had more donations, and in there was a 2-piece 3-weight rod that I was able to give to Scott. So he's got his own 3-weight.
Oh,
He
good.
used it yesterday, so I think he had fun with it.
Absolutely.
So. Yep, again, everyone who is in here in St. Louis, if you need fly tying materials, please contact me first, because I've had 2 good donations of material that I have bins of stuff. So if you need something, I brought, for those who were out yesterday saw, that was just some of the stuff we have. So I still have more. If we have a big fishing event, I'll bring the containers out again. But I did pick up a lot of rods as well. I think I picked up somewhere in the vicinity of 10 to 15 fiberglass rods. So if you guys want to go through some of that, let me know, and I could, so I call the storage unit now the store. So if you want to come run by the store, give me a call and we'll get you hooked up. So that's all I got. So next week we'll do some crawdads and have more fun. So that's all I got. I don't want to hold up too much more of your time. Go get with family, go have some dinner, and we will see you guys soon.
Thanks, Les.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mick.
Mick.
I know.
See ya.
Good night, John boy.